Every week in the football season, we are lucky enough to have Maryland Governor Wes Moore join us for his weekly NFL picks. Through 3 weeks, the Gov is over 500, which not a lot of people can say right now in the NFL. He's at 8-7. Governor, how are you, sir? Thanks for making time.
I'm great, man. How y'all doing?
We're good. We're hot.
We're out in Arizona, man. It's hot out here.
I know. I've been hearing from our friends out there. They're like, listen, the summer has not ended out there. It's brutal. It's brutal.
It never does.
Gov, it's supposed to be 110 degrees today. And
That's bananas.
all Brian and I want to do is play some golf.
I hope y'all go at 5 a.m.
Yeah, we've already missed it, I
5
guess.
o'clock in the morning.
Before we get into the picks for this week, I got to just ask you, as a dude that played college football and loves the game, how blown away were you by Jayden Daniels' performance on Monday night?
Let me tell you something, man. I mean, I was sitting there watching the game and just texting with a couple of my boys, and I'm like, listen, and honestly, I got to tell you, it's not even just the performance. It's not just the fact that the dude threw more touchdowns and incomplete passes, right? It's the poise. It's the fact this is the biggest stage that he has played on, and that includes a remarkable college career. But it's Monday Night Football. I mean, the lights don't get any hotter, especially for a rookie QB, and especially for a rookie QB of a team that, frankly, still has quite a few holes in it. And this man showed off and did it with such a remarkable grace that, I mean, it's just, listen, I know this week we've heard a whole bunch of, he's the next version of this, he's the next version of that. I think the beautiful thing that we saw was that, no, he's very comfortable just being the Jayden Daniels of now.
That's what I said,
there's something really special about him.
Yeah, I said, stop comparing him. Talking about he's the next this and next day. How about he could be the first Jayden Daniels? Just let him go out there and do him.
That's it. I mean, but the poise that he showed, I mean, some of those balls that he threw, I mean, come on. I mean, it's just, so I tell you, I mean, the Commanders have a talent, but they have to make sure that he is protected. You got to make sure you get an offensive line that can get him a little bit more time. We have to make sure you have a defense that can keep him off the field. I mean, sure. It's so there's some real holes that have to be filled. But this guy is showing he really has the potential to be the truth.
Governor, one thing I've asked you a whole bunch of times, and I'm not talking about selling beer at the grocery stores in Montgomery County, is just how excited you are. How excited you are for Orioles baseball. There's going to be playoff baseball at Camden Yards. Let me know what Brian and I need to do to get into that governor's suite for one of those games. But how excited are you just to see the O's host playoff baseball?
I love it, but I got to tell you, y'all can definitely come up to the suite. The problem is I won't be there because I'm in the stands. I don't like going to the suite. I actually like watching the game.
Sure.
But it's exciting. Yeah. It's exciting, right? I mean, first of all, anytime you have a team that is playoff bound, it's important because not everybody makes the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you're getting into, these are the best of the best that are now out there to make the playoffs. And I think the Orioles have shown that's who we are. The Baltimore Orioles are amongst the best of the best, not just in the American League East, but also just amongst Major League Baseball. Now, I do think, listen, this is going to be they're going to have to go earn this because, we didn't win the AL East this year. The Yankees did. And so we're going to have our wild card game. We're going to have to go in. Hopefully we'll get home field advantage during that. But we're going to have to go out and earn this. We're going to have to go win the wild card round. Then we're going to have to go out and hopefully, beat the Yankees in the second round, which I feel very optimistic about because we basically just beat them in this last series. They won the last game, but we beat them in the first two. So it's possible. It can be done. I think we've got just a tremendous young team. And I tell you, the coolest thing about it, man, and I'm excited for y'all to come up, the buzz in Baltimore is so good. I mean, the stadium is absolutely packed. And you couldn't have said that 2 years ago. And so it's a really exciting thing when you think about the energy that the Orioles have continued to bring to Baltimore.
You and I are about the same age. I imagine you remember Jeffrey Mayer just like I do, and Tony Tarasco being perfectly positioned for that catch. That still makes my blood boil, and it was probably 30 years ago. So maybe I should see a physician or something.
Nah, don't get over it. If you're be like me, don't ever get over stuff.
I haven't. All right, let's get down to business. I got you at 8-7, 1 game over 500, which is a lot better. Vegas is doing quite well through 3 weeks of the NFL season. Every week, the biggest underdog seems to win outright, and it was Washington last week. We got some games to pick. We can start with your Ravens if you want. They got a heck of a game with the Bills coming to town. What do you like in that one?
This is going to be a good one. The Bills are a very good team. I just think that the Ravens are a better team, and especially when you're playing in Baltimore on a Sunday night. I really do believe one thing that we do see about the Ravens is when the lights are brightest is when they generally kind of show up. I think that it looks like there's going to be rain, and so the reason I bring that up is it means it's going to be run heavy. And one thing that we have been able to show is that Derrick Henry is ready for a battle. He's ready when it's a run heavy game. And I think that, the Bills, their defense has not shown an ability to be able to be really strong against strong run offenses. So I think that Derrick Henry is going to go off. And I think that is going to matter because the Bills have not seen that. I mean, I think who they beat the Cardinals and the Dolphins. So I mean, like, they really haven't had a really tough team like this. This by far will be the best team that the Bills are going to face, and facing Baltimore on Sunday night is just hard. So I think Baltimore gets the win out of this one.
All right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, and you're right with the Bills. They played Arizona in the opener. Then they had the Thursday nighter in Miami. Tua was bad, and then Tua got hurt.
Yeah.
And last week they almost dropped 50, but it was against the Jags, who look like just an absolute train wreck. So you might be on to something.
I forgot the Jags. The Jags aren't even a legit team anymore. I forgot about that.
I don't know how legit this team is, but they are 3-0. The Vikings head to Lambeau to take on the Packers.
Yeah, man. I tell you, this is I think going to be the trickiest game of the week. And I know a lot of folks are backing the Packers, and I get why. I totally understand why there's excitement about what you're seeing with the Packers. And by the way, Malik Willis is just a horse. I mean, that game he put up last week was crazy. I don't know if I see him putting up another week like that, though. I'm going to go with Minnesota, and I know this is an upset. And I know we picked quite a few upsets, but I'm going to pick another one right now. I'm going to go with Minnesota going to Green Bay and winning. I just think that if you look at who Minnesota has beat so far. I mean, they beat the Niners and they beat the Texans in back-to-back weeks. You cannot – they're not playing – I mean, they're not playing teams like the Bills are playing. They're playing real teams, and they're beating real teams. And so I know that the Packers are the favorite. I know it's in Lambeau, but I think Minnesota goes in and gets the win out of this.
You know what? There's a lot of kind of metrics I keep track of, and the Vikings have been so impressive in a lot of things. Brian Flores, I think, is calling some outrageous defensive game plans right now. And I think Brian Flores is kind of the Shanahan offensive stopper. If you look at what they did specifically to Kyle and the Niners, and then last week against Houston, that's among the most confused, worst we've ever seen C.J. Stroud look, and that Bobby Slowick offense. Like, they're doing something up there. The kid Grenard is playing outrageous. I kind of love that pick, Gov, but I do get nervous about backing Sam Darnold at Lambeau Field.
I know. And listen, and Lambeau is a tough place to play. Sure. Lambeau is a very tough place to play. But I think your point on, for example, what we saw against the Texans is real, because it's not easy to throw off C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's just one of these dudes whose blood pressure just doesn't move. And he's shown that. But he looked confused. And so I agree. It's tough going against the Packers in Green Bay. I just think this Vikings team is doing something really interesting right now.
Yeah, I mean, Stroud threw the 2 picks last week. Okay, Gov, we're talking with Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Let's go out to Kansas City.
KC.
Chiefs, Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one. None of these are easy picks. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually think the Chiefs have been doing what the Chiefs do every single year, which is they put up games during the regular season. You're like, what's going on with them? And then they come out in the playoffs and just dominate.
Yep.
But they've had a lot of struggles in a couple of these games, and they've shown lapses in some of these games where you're like, I don't think these guys even showed up. But I just think that the Chargers are going to be. It's going to be really tough to bet with the Chargers as long as we know that that Herbert is not going to be 100%. We saw last week. They're just a different team when he's in, and they're a different team when he's not at 100%. And so I think that Mahomes is Mahomes and crew are gonna get the win on this one.
My homie.
Has there ever been a quieter 3-0 back-to-back Super Bowl champs team than the Chiefs?
I know.
Because
it's crazy.
It's just human nature. You
It's
want
crazy.
to, you see a guy that's so good, you don't discuss him.
Well, and it's funny because if anything, the only conversations that we can keep on hearing about the Chiefs is, they don't look the same as last year in this way. They don't look the same as last year in that way. And it's kind of like the dude who everything is right, and so you just start picking at them. All the other things don't matter. So you just start picking at the nonsense. That's kind of where we are at the Chiefs at this point.
Yeah,
where we're like, on that one play, the left tackle missed the play. It's like, come on, guys. Are we really doing this right now? That's what you have to do with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You're right. The nonsense meter, especially when you add the Kelsey Taylor Swift angle to it all.
Exactly.
The nonsense meter's off the chart.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this could be a sneaky, really good game. The Eagles are traveling down to Tampa to take on the Bucs. I believe that's in Tampa. You got two pretty good teams. Eagles coming off a big win. Tampa coming off a terrible loss. What do you think, Eagles, Bucs?
I'm so first, JP. I'm so with you on this one. I think this one's a sneaky one. And especially it's so funny the way the winds turn in the early part of the season, where after the first couple of weeks they were talking about Baker Mayfield, they're chanting MVP when he gets out there, and then you saw what happened last week. I think that the Eagles. I think the Eagles are just going to be tough to beat on this one. And actually, I think you just have to look at the last part of the fourth quarter to really get a better understanding of why. The Bucs do not have a good run defense. And you saw Saquon showed at the end of the game why he is still a top quality back. And I think it's going to be really difficult for this Bucs defense, as we're looking at it right now, to be able to hold on to a Saquon as long as the Eagles run the right game plan and get the ball to him, and I'll really give him more space and give him more open space. I also, again, I know that Baker Mayfield and everybody's talking about him after week 2. I think that story might be dying out pretty quickly. And so I think that the Eagles pull off this win, even though I've said it week 1, week 2, week 3, I'm going to say it again. I think the Eagles still have a locker room problem. And I think that the coaching is going to be a real challenge for them to go really far this year, and they have not solved for that. So I think the Eagles get this win, but I think that the long-term problems of the Eagles will continue to be exposed.
I totally agree with you. Some of these things don't just go away, and it's the kind of, like, if your house has a leak, and you could wipe it up a couple times, but it's still going to keep leaking. Yeah,
it's still there.
All right, Maryland Governor Wes Moore joining us now, makes his weekly NFL picks. All right, Gov, the one that's got me and BMitch in the 110-degree desert. Commanders, Cardinals, Kyler versus Jaden. What do you like in this one?
I think y'all are going to come back with a win on this one, man. I really do. Listen, it's going to be. It's always challenging when you're coming off a short week, and because listen, in the NFL, 24 hours actually does make a difference when it comes to healing your body and all that kind of stuff. But let's be clear, I don't think there's a whole lot of pain coming out of the Commanders after the game last week. They were feeling good. They were feeling real good. And I mean, the one thing that does me a little bit of pause, though, I have to say, is Eckler being out. Because Eckler actually put up put up some really good numbers. And I think he, again, goes to show that it was a good pickup and an important pickup. But I think Brian Robinson is there to help to carry the load. I think that our defense, and specifically the defense for the Commanders in the secondary, is still going to be pretty problematic. And I still don't think that there's an answer for that yet. But I do think that Jayden Daniels continues to get the confidence that he needs. And I think that there are going to be a lot of people who are now going to see that for this second week in a row, there are going to be a lot of eyeballs on him. And for the second week in a row, I think he's going to show out. So I think the Commanders get this win.
I mean, this thing's going to be really buzzing if that was to happen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they'd be 3-1 at kind of the quarter mark of the season.
Yeah.
Gov, I wanted to ask you something. So it's not till week 6, right? So it's about a month from now, a couple more weeks from now. It seems like week 6, and Scott Abraham, I think, tweeted about this. The Sunday night game stinks. I think it's Bengals-Giants. And it's possible one of the better games on the board, at least right now, looks like it could be Commanders-Ravens. When a game gets moved like that, like, does your office, and we don't even know that it'll happen, right? Maybe it happens, right? It's complete speculation. But, like, do they have to call you? Like, if they're going to move a 1 o'clock game to a Sunday night game, how does that work kind of because I don't think people realize how much, like, police presence, there's so much goes into an NFL game. Do you have to get involved?
100%. I mean, like, we don't have decision-making authority, but absolutely. Cause I mean, you're right. It's both making sure that people are safe, during those times, and that requires adjustments. It's about traffic patterns that have to take place. Yeah. And this was a game that was already circled on all of our calendars. Not just us as football fans, but also, I mean, this is the battle for Maryland, right? I mean, these are right. Maryland's two teams going against each other. So this one we already knew there was going to be extra special energy that was coming into this one. But absolutely, I mean, when those decisions are made, we have to be notified early on it, because a whole lot of adjustments have to happen in order for it to be successfully executed.
Well, you're going to be a busy man, dude. You got Orioles playoff baseball. We don't know for sure who they're playing yet. It looks like it'll be the Royals. Will you do one of those, like,
I'm
Governor
hoping it's the Royals? I don't like the Tigers. They seem to have our number. So
they're red hot, dude. They are red hot.
They're red hot. They're red hot. They're red hot. All
right. Well, Gov, here's what I got you at, sir. You got the Ravens, you've got the Vikings. I really love that pick. To me, that is a Ganas pick. You gotta show a little self-determination to take the Vikings and Sam Darnold going to Lambeau. But I love that pick. I might have to.
That was a good pick, Gov. JP said he loved it.
The Chiefs at home, the Eagles on the road, and the Commanders on the road. Governor, we appreciate your time as always, sir.
Thank you, man.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. Stay cool out there, man.
All right.
We'll try.